Wow. You know, damn. Shout out to 50 Cent. Mm, mm, mm. Let me just say this about 50. He has never changed. Ever since he came out with his first album way back when, in the 2000s, he's been a problem. You know, How to Rob a Nigga. Ain't that the title of one of his songs? Shit, you need to come out with a new hit. How to do a documentary on a nigga. Because he sure did it. Although he was just the executive producer. Well, not just, but damn, Diddy. What pissed Madam Whip Ass off the most in the documentary? I'm going to be petty. Number one, and those of you who know my background, and my mother was the first black female funeral director in Queens, New York, named street after her, 1955 at the age of 26. I said 26 years of age. In 1955, she bought and opened up her own funeral home. Let me tell you something. It's illegal to be discriminatory. You can't discriminate on a job. You can't tell somebody that you can't come into their restaurant because you're white or because you're black or because you're Asian. We all understand that, right? But do you know the funeral business is the only business where it's okay to be discriminatory? It really is. You have cemeteries for Catholics. If you ain't Catholic, you can't be buried there. You got cemeteries for Jewish. If you're not Jewish, you can't be buried there. Irish people use Irish funeral directors. Chinese people use Chinese funeral directors. Jewish people use Jewish funeral directors. And it's okay. White people use white funeral directors. I really think that black people are the only ones that will go to a white funeral home. Thus, Frank E. Campbell, major funeral director in Manhattan, white guy, he has buried Biggie, Luther, and Aaliyah. Those three I know for a fact because I was at Luther's funeral and Aaliyah's funeral. I ain't bothered with Biggie. There's too many fucking people. Not that Aaliyah and Luther, but they had too many people too, but it was a different class of people. I'm not going to no Biggie funeral. But anyway, no white superstar would ever use a black funeral home. I've never seen that yet. It's only black people, when they get a little bit of money and they die, they get a white funeral director. I don't understand it at all. At all. That's one of my, that's my petty gripe. The other part is when Puffy said he's going to give Biggie the biggest funeral. Why you didn't give Biggie his flowers when he was alive and he could smell them? I saw those big 2 pickup limo cars stuffed with flowers. Now he get all these flowers, tons of them, and he can't smell shit. That's number one. Number two, you said you're going to give him the biggest funeral. Well, that sounded like you was going to pay for it to me. Not that he was obligated to do so, but did Biggie have some say in his funeral? I mean, who's to say? Did he really want to be paraded around Bed-Stuy dead like that? Who's to say he, just wanted to have a quiet ceremony or whatever and, and go to his room, his eternal room? Who's to say he wanted to pay that much money for his funeral? Who's to say he wanted a white funeral director? You had Harvey Funeral Home right there in Bed-Stuy. You had House of Hills. But you gonna pick a white funeral director all the way in Manhattan? Look. That funeral cost a hell of a lot of money. And I can imagine how much his casket cost. Probably one of those $100,000 caskets like, Kim Porter had. They're beautiful. But I'll be damned if I put let you put $100,000 in the dirt on my behalf. That's some bullshit. My kids could use that if I had some. But his kids could use that for college or whatever. I don't care. A house. It don't need to go in the dirt. Who's to say he would have wanted to be buried in a $100,000 casket? I'm sure he might have felt, damn, my mama can use that $100,000 better than me laying in it in the dirt. I mean, you wouldn't break him off any more money for his albums and his contract, but you'll put him in a $100,000 casket down in the dirt, and when it was all said and done, Biggie had to pay for it. Don't get me wrong. It's nothing wrong with paying for your own funeral. My mother paid for her own funeral. She had everything mapped out. Matter of fact, we knew what to do since we were toddlers because she talked to us about it all our lives. She said, listen, and we knew this from when we were children. Children, she said, I'm not going to be sick and laying up in somebody's hospital suffering. She said, when I go, I'm going to go in my own home and you will find me. And when you find me, you call such and such. Let the medical examiner come and pronounce me dead and have such and such take me out the chapel doors feet first. She had the money set aside for everything, including her casket. How much was my mother's casket that she spent for herself? $25,000. Yes, she did. She set aside $25,000 for her own casket. Well, in her case, she was the first black female funeral director. She deserved a $25,000 casket if that's what she wanted to do. If she wanted a $100,000 casket, but my mother, no, hell no. She ain't putting that much money down in the dirt. But after 50 years in the business, being the most empathetic funeral director you ever would want to bury your loved one, I think she was modest. But All we had to do was just follow the directions. We didn't even have to look at the directions. We knew because we heard it 50 million times. And do you know my mom passed away just like she said? She said it was going to be short and sweet. That's exactly how she went. Short and sweet. We found her and we followed the plan. And we took her out through her chapel doors feet first. Just like. Now I said all that to say it's a damn shame that Puffy would plan such an elaborate funeral with all the bells and whistles and extra shit and then give a damn about a budget, because when it was all said and done, Biggie paid for it. He going around, Diddy that is, R-wording niggas in the ass. And Kirk Burrows and Diddy, I mean, the way Kirk presented it as if he was a victim and he, as he said, he was sexually abused and physically abused and verbally abused and just abused. I think you was just in an abusive so-called love relationship. Y'all two niggas was, y'all had a thing going on. And I was looking at Kirk in a documentary, and I'm saying to myself, he looked like he had a rough life. He looked kind of rough, like, he had some hard living he had been doing. I didn't realize, I knew somewhat of him. I vaguely remember the 25% of stocks and all of that. But you know stuff, you hear stuff, when it was going on. But you're not connecting the dots because you don't have all the dots to connect. You know what I mean? But I didn't know when it was all said and done, Kirk Burrows ended up being homeless. And he looks like he was homeless. He looks like he smells like a homeless person. Through the TV. That Diddy is the world's dirtiest Muthasucka, ain't he? And he has so many people hating on him. And is it all this hate out of jealousy? No, I think people legitimately hate Puffy because he's a dirty Muthasucka. I got a lot of flack in my video about Cassie, where I said she was never a victim. And I told you in that video, she was with Puffy for 10 years. And she could have left after the first ass whooping. She could have left after she got pissed all in her mouth by Diddy and whoever. She could have left then. She waits 10 years before she decides to leave. And I told y'all, I read the tea leaves, that it was 10 years when she realized, hey, I'm never going to have his baby. I'm never going to be his wife. And that's when she bounced. And if you watch the third episode of the documentary called Official Girl. She wanted to be his official girl. She wanted to be the wife. And I'm sure it super pissed her off that after they broke up, Diddy done had a baby with somebody else. That's little baby love. And now here comes the lawsuit. Now again, do I blame her for suing him and getting $30 million? No, because if I was the asshole for 10 years, hoping, waiting, doing whatever he wants, getting pissed on, getting beat up, freaking off for 36 hours, getting trains ran on me, drugged up, all in hopes of having a baby and becoming his wife, or becoming his wife and having a baby. And that didn't happen after 10 years. And all I do is I walk out the relationship with a dry pocketbook and a wet coochie. I want to sue too. So I'm not mad at her for $30 million. I think she deserved every bit of it. But these young girls, these young women, somebody called Diana Ross. Can't call Tina Turner because she dead. But Diana Ross still alive. She was one of the first to have done it. And I bet you nobody ever pissed in her mouth. If y'all trying to bag niggas to be stationary in their lives or anchoring them with a baby without getting pissed on, literally, you need to call Diana Ross. Because these bitches today, they doing way too much and ain't getting nothing. Diana Ross ain't did a tenth of what Cassie did and made sure her and her children set for life. Come on now. Like I said, they're all trash. Diddy trash, his kids are trash, his mama trash, Cassie trash. Kirkborough, trash. Let a nigga screw you and leave you out in the street homeless. All effed up in the game. Trash. You supposed to be a man. Man's supposed to have his own. Trash. Why would you wrap your whole life and your lifestyle around a man or any individual? Why would you give somebody that much power to the point where if they withdraw themselves out of your life, you end up homeless? I don't understand it. Trash, I tell you, trash. Then there's a guy that was shot in the bathroom in the studio. I guess he was a friend of Justin, so I guess Justin shot him. Daddy helped him cover it up, you know. Daddy got money. And we'll just do this and say this and pay off a couple of cops and, you know, we're good to go. And where's the person that got shot? Is he even alive? And if he's alive, why he ain't saying nothing? Did he eventually get paid? Did he accept some money? We ain't heard nothing. Bigger than all of that, the never before seen footage. I got questions. Apparently, when Diddy was in those hotels, or in that hotel during those days before he was arrested last year, September, he had somebody filming everything. I guess he was planning to do a documentary in the future or something like that. Who the hell gave all that footage to 50 Cent and Netflix? What happened that they turned around and sold Diddy out? And how much money did they get for that footage? Wow. Ooh, these people dirty. Disgusting. Betrayal. Wow. And it must have been the videographer, maybe a paid person. I don't think it was one of his sons. So he must have hired somebody. So does that video footage belong to Puffy? Or does it belong to the videographer? I mean, apparently there wasn't a contract agreement signed with any attorneys to prevent what happened. Apparently. But that's some dirty shit. But then again, when you think of Little Rod, how much he worked on that Love album and still hasn't gotten paid, I think the videographer was smart. Better get your money some kind of way. Puffy in all this trouble and he got 8 lawyers he got to pay. I think the last of his concerns would be the videographer. So I guess he said, fuck this shit. Give him 3 chances for payment. No payment, I'll give it to 50. Hey, James Gordon. You can't see me? Edith? I am dark skinned. That's probably why you can't see me. But anyway, what a life. What a life. But you know what was never said in the documentary that I find interesting? Nothing was said about 50 Cent's baby mama that Diddy was freaking off with. Why you ain't do a documentary about that or include that in the documentary, huh, 50? Oh, because it's personal. That's your son's mother. Yeah, I can understand that. I ain't mad at you, really. I'm just ribbing you a little bit, 50. But yeah, I got you. Good move. You want to protect your son. You don't want to look like the bad guy in terms of, being a parent. But, yeah, that'd have been some juicy shit. So, if you were 50, would you have done such a documentary? Hell yeah. Why is Diddy always screwing people he knows, their girls? He took Misa from Eric Sermon. He took Kim from Albie Shore. We don't know about Misa, but he sure freaked off Kim and 50's girl, baby mama. And did you know, now Diddy got another daughter. I think she's like the same age as the twins, by Sarah or somebody. Look, Sarah, Misa, and Kim were all friends, used to hang out together. And Diddy got a baby by all three of them. Now tell me, what does that say about that man's character? What does it say about Sarah and Kim? Trash. When I tell you they're all trash, they're trash. When I tell you all their kids is trash, they're trash. You wanna know why? Because Diddy's trash and all them baby mamas is trash. So if trash and trash have a baby or babies, what those babies gonna be? Trash. Anyway, it definitely was exposed in this documentary where the dots were connected for us by 50 Cent, while the pieces of the puzzle snugged in tightly where they belong. That Diddy was responsible for the death of Tupac and Biggie. So you had the man killed, make him pay for an elaborate funeral, steal his cover from Rolling Stone after he's dead. Man, that's a nasty little world to be a part of. It really is. They just broken people. Just broken, chasing after fame and money and Birkin bags and shit. And fake big asses. Nose jobs. Boob jobs. Just completely disgusting. I was having a conversation with a friend of mine the other night. And I said, you know, when you become uber rich to the point that you have your own private jet, you can just pay $25,000 for jet fuel and pay, I don't know how much it is to rent a pilot, and then to have, staff on the jet. But all of that can very well come up to about $75,000 or more. And you can get on that jet and fly to France because there's a coffee shop in a little town in Nice or Paris. And you just love that coffee. So you pay $75,000 to go to France just to get that cup of coffee and get back on a jet and come back to the United States. When you could just wake up and say, you know what? I have 2 mansions. I think I want a third one. And you get up and you call a real estate agent and you go mansion shopping and you buy a mansion that day. Then you wake up a week later and say, you know what? That new BMW, that $500,000 BMW, it dropped today. I'm going to get me one. And you get up out your bed in your mansion and you get in your $200,000 Mercedes to go buy a $500,000 BMW. Now, when you can buy what you want, go where you want at a drop of a dime, because money is no object. When you can have anything you want in this world without a struggle, without the grind, without the hustle, I imagine life becomes very boring. And so you're looking for things to do or something to do or to have that you've never done or you never had before. And that's where it comes in, that when you are a man and you are uber rich and you got everything that you want and you can get anything that you want, and life has become boring, I guess the next thing to bring excitement in your boring rich life is to suck a dick. Is to get plowed in your ass. Is to plow another man in his ass. Is to drug him and plow him in his ass so that when he wake up all sore, he confused about what happened. Well, it shouldn't be any confusion. How many times before you dealt with Puffy did you wake up with a sore asshole? So that should tell you that somebody fucked you in your ass. You just don't wake up with a sore asshole for no reason. That has never happened to me. Number one, I ain't never willingly let nobody fuck me in the ass because my ass is for exit only. And every time a nigga asks me if he can fuck me in the ass, I look at him and say, well, let me fuck you in your ass first. Oh, no. They become incensed and insulted. And I'm like, nigga, how do you think I feel? Like I got the nerve to ask to fuck you in the ass. You got the nerve to ask to fuck me in the ass. There will be no ass fucking. Don't even put your finger in it. And you better not tongue it either. Stay out of my ass. Look, I'm going too far. It's time for me to go. Hey, Black Dust. I am happy and well in life. I just went a little bit too far and too much information. But yeah, I get riled up when somebody start talking about doing things to my ass. I don't like that. And you shouldn't let anybody do whatever they want to your body. Now, I remember Rufus Beverly. Who's Rufus Beverly? Madam with ass. Rufus Beverly was a peer in my Catholic school, in my class. I think he entered St. Gabriel's in the 4th grade. And all of us, being 9, 10, 11, 12 years old, we were confused because Rufus was always hanging out with the girls, with us. He was like one of the best double Dutch jumpers, you know. And he played a mean game of hopscotch. And he did ring around the rosy with us too. But being little kids, we knew something was different about him, but didn't quite understand. Well, you know, he graduated out of St. Gabe's in the 8th grade. And it had to be that summer I ran into Rufus Beverly. And we were walking and talking. Now we about 13 years old. You know, Rufus Beverly told me at the age of 13, my little virgin self. And even then I didn't understand what he meant until I got older. But he said, girl, don't you ever let nobody fuck you in the ass, because, honey, it is a messy job. I never forgot that advice that 13-year-old Rufus Beverly told 13-year-old Madam Whip-Ass. He said it is a messy job. Did I understand what a messy job was? Did I even understand what fucking in the ass was? No. But when I got older, he said it was a messy job. Does that mean shit get on the dick? And I had to ask somebody who had participated in ass fucking. shit on your dick? Yeah, it can happen. It can happen. That is absolutely disgusting. You got a little pee-pee hole. You don't think shit can get in that little pee-pee hole and cause infections and shit? Excuse the pun. That's human waste. And frankly, if you ask me, I be looking at niggas sideways who like to do some ass fucking. Because the ass is an ass. If you willing to fuck a chick in the ass, why wouldn't you fuck a nigga? The ass is an ass. A toe is a toe. Whatever, y'all. Let me go. Because I'm doing too much. Please forgive me. Shout out again to 50 Cent and that documentary. Yeah, Diddy ain't down for the count. He'll be out in a few years. Matter of fact, when he get out, I'll be finished with my car payment. So I'm looking forward to the 50 months going by quick. And as far as his career, can he make a comeback? Probably, because niggas got amnesia. Can he get people to work with him? Make music again? Develop another hitman team? It's possible. Because people ain't going to learn. People out here hungry. But then the whole industry has changed with streaming and all of this. You don't even have people playing videos on TV anymore, you know? All of that is just different now. I understand, you put out music and have people stream it. You got to get like 20 million streams to see a little bit of a decent check. And even then, it ain't much. So I don't know what's going on with the music industry, but things have changed. Plus, Diddy's fucking old. Don't nobody want to see a 50-something-year-old rapper. Ain't no teenage girls and young adult women gonna be going crazy over no 50, damn near 60-year-old rapper. So hang that shit up. And by the time he get out, rap will be hip-hop will be completely obsolete. They didn't even incorporate them in Grammy nominations this year. Because it's all garbage now. The whole world is garbage if you ask me. Trash. And frankly, I'm sick of it. I'm sick of Trump and all the bullshit accoutrements that come along with him and his administration. I'm sick of these high-ass prices of insurance, home insurance, car insurance, food, shrinkflation, charging you more for bottles of soda that are smaller. I'm just sick of everything. Sick of it. I'm sick of it, as Tracy would say. Now, I know I keep saying I'm going, but then I start talking about something else. But yeah, Diddy's career is over. If he was younger, he probably could make a comeback. I guess at this point, he still might have some money. He just need to be behind the scenes doing business some kind of way. As far as his sons and his children, I don't know. Are his daughters going to be models, the twins? They got the body and the look, you know. I bet you they'll make a way better for themselves than any of those boys will. Quincy need to go back to his daddy and stay away from that dirty Muthasucka of a stepdad. That's what Quincy need to do. Or is Quincy brainwashed? I got questions. Rest in peace to Tupac, Kim Porter, Wolf, Biggie, Craig Mack, and everybody else who died around Puffy. Rest in peace to all of them. And peace to all of you. I'm out.